Welcome at lesson number 5, part number 4. The maximum securing load, it's always a part of the braking strength. There's some margin built in. Keep it in mind. Nevertheless, don't take a higher or never exceed the maximum securing load. If you calculate, choose safe. The margin is necessary in case during the sea voyage there will be dynamic loads. It may be will be exceeded during the load because of the weather, but by design and by installing, don't exceed the MSL. Here's a D-ring. The welding of the D-ring on a steel surface needs to be done according to the cargo securing manual. How to weld and the quality of the weld is specified in the CSM. So this is a strong point on a steel surface, and we need to weld this part on the deck, on the steel deck, steel surface. Anti-slip mud, rubber in English. It is used to increase the friction of surfaces. The friction coefficient is about 0.45 to up to 0.6. If it's dry and properly cleaned, it also refers to both the surfaces, so underneath the cargo, but also the steel surface itself. They both need to be clean and dry and ungreased. So during the sea voyage, what do we check on a daily basis? We have, for example, a multi-purpose vessel which transports project cargo, palletized cargo, and reefer containers. Every day, twice a day, the bosun and the chief mate will retighten the lashings. We follow the weather report on the bridge. Captain comes also up to think about it, together with the mates, think ahead, follow the weather reports. Check the reefers and log temperatures on paper with the time, names and signatures, because they can be proof during a legal dispute. In case there's something wrong with the reefers, you need to be able to show some evidence. Top up airbags, also maybe once a day you have a look. So here the pellets, some void filling dunnage over here, and this pellets, the dunnage, inflatable dunnage, it can be topped up just by a simple air hose. Weather dependent lashing. Only on a short sea voyage, if in possession of an accurate weather report, it will be allowed. For example, ferries between the Netherlands and the UK in summertime, they have a short sea voyage, maybe up to 12 hours. And in the morning, after discharging, the captain will be in possession of a weather report. So, bearing in mind that the sea voyage will be short, he can decide what's the safety factor. In case it's quiet weather, he can choose number 2. Act according to the cargo securing manual at all times. If not, you will jeopardize the insurance coverage. To be able to do weather-dependent lashing, you need to have an agreement by classification bureau, by clause. They need to agree upon it. If you don't have the agreement, you cannot do it because you're not insured. Here's some examples of stowage. This is a pyramid stowage, and with pyramid we mean that tier number 2 is not that wide as tier number 1. That's why we call it pyramid stowage. What we always need to think about is, can the hatches in this case take the weight of both the tiers of steel piles? What we also need to think, does tier number 1 can take the weight of tier number 2 on itself? That's something to bear in mind. Here's a form of block stowage. We fill up all the voids, the gaps in the full beam of the ship. There's no space left, and the cassettes of these cargoes, they will touch each other, and there will be no place left for air. it will look like this. You see between the secus there's no more space, and these sliding pads, they touch each other. So the six secus basically they lash themselves. Maybe in very bad weather they put some chains on the sides over here. But more than that is not necessary because they stow each other, all six secus. Now, some examples of steel plates, steel slabs. The ship's bulkheads never touch the steel cargo, and attention needs to be given to the outlining of the dunnage beams over here. You see vertically they are not properly outlined, and that's why here we have a bend. This steel plate is done. You will have a claim as a ship about this two plates. That's a cargo loss. Here are some steel plates as well. You see on the sides we have vertical dunnage to prevent the steel touching the steel bulkheads of the ship, and the beams over here to have multiple tiers. And important is the phytosanitary certificate for the wooden dunnage. Here's some void filling dunnage as well. It's basically a stamp stowage in the form of a wig. During the sea voyage, this also needs to be checked, and maybe you take away the slack out of this constellation by taking a hammer and give some jams on top of this horizontal piece of wood, so it's tightened again. After discharging, if we have connected D-rings on the surface, we need to remove those strong points, these lashing points. We take a disc grinder, we take away the strong points, and we refix the paint system. Usually the first layer on the bare naked steel is called primer. When the primer is dry, we can do some layers of top coat. Before we adjust the primer on the surface, it needs to be dry, clean, and degreased. That's it. Thanks for watching.